The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good morning. My name is George Haggerty. Before I call this meeting to order, I will note for the record that I will serve as the acting chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York Transportation Development Corporation for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast and that we welcome public comment on the items on our agenda. I will also note for the record that the public has been given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments to nytdc@esd.ny.gov by 5 p.m. Friday. And no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to today's agenda items. If so, please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. Will we then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to the item? Hearing none, our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the directors' meeting of March 21st, 2023, April 5th, 2023, October 5th, 2023, and November 9th, 2023. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions on any of these sets of minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval on all four sets. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I would like now to ask Miyoko Okubu to present the next item on today's agenda, a request for the appointment of officer. Miyoko, could you, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you. The officer position of Executive Vice President, the Legal and General Counsel of the corporation is currently vacant. As a matter of corporate housekeeping and to ensure the corporation has a complement of officers at any given time who can execute required documentation on the corporation's behalf, it is recommended that Joshua Butworth be appointed to the corporation as Executive Vice President, Legal and General Counsel. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Are there any comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion. Second.
Second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Unless someone objects, Miyoko will provide one presentation on the next two agenda items, requesting authorization to procurement guidelines, authorization to adopt revised guidelines for use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts, and authorization to adopt the pre-qualified list of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, DBA, Empire State Development of Underwriters and Financial Advisors, and authorization to take related actions. Miyoko, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you. Authorization to adopt revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of the procurement contract. I am requesting that the board authorize the adoption of the revised guidelines regarding the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of the procurement contract. The corporation will enter into various contracts in the course of conducting its authorized purposes. In order to ensure the consistent, fair, and competitive retention of goods and services, staff recommend the voluntary adoption of 2024 procurement guidelines adopted by the Empire State Development Board of Directors at its March 28, 2024 meeting. These guidelines will replace the procurement guidelines previously adopted by the corporation. The guidelines set forth policies and procedures to be followed by the corporation when seeking to contract for goods or services. It should be noted that these guidelines are only required of public authorities and public benefit corporations, not local development corporations such as New York Transportation Development Corporation, but they are proposed as a statement of best practices and procedures. No contract will be deemed invalid merely because these guidelines have not been followed. Authorization to adopt the pre-qualified list of New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development of underwriters and financial advisors, and authorization to take related actions. I am requesting that the board authorize adoption of the ESD pre-qualified list of underwriters and financial advisors. Empire State Development adopted a new pre-qualified list of underwriters and financial advisors at its February 15, 2024 meeting. The requested approval and adoption of the ESD list will make these firms available for future recommendation to the corporation's board of directors for retention as a need may arise, without need to conduct a further solicitation. On the basis of overall ESD staff analysis and ranking of the proposals and the approval of the ESD board, it is recommended that the corporation adopt the ESD board approved pre-qualified list of underwriters and financial advisors to be eligible to serve as underwriters and as financial advisors as needed for a term of 2 years, with authority granted to ESD's Chief Financial Officer or Treasurer to extend the term for 1 year and the CFO to further extend the term for an additional year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayoko. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to any of these two items? Are there any comments from the public with regard to any of these two items? I will now entertain a motion for approval on these two items. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. The motion carries. Unless someone objects, Matt Bray will present on the final agenda item, requesting authorization to issuance of bonds by the New York Transportation Development Corporation, the corporation, for the benefit of JFK NTO LLC to finance certain costs of the John F. Kennedy International Airport New Terminal 1 project, authorization to perform certain acts in connection with the sale and delivery of the New York Transportation Development Corporation Special Facilities Revenue Bonds, Series 2024 JFK International Airport New Terminal 1 project, green bonds, the Series 2024 bonds, and to take related action. Matt, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, and good morning, directors. Today, the board is asked to authorize the performance of certain acts and take all related actions in connection with the sale and delivery of the New York Transportation Development Corporation Special Facilities Revenues Bonds, Series 2024, John F. Kennedy International Airport New Terminal 1 Project, green bonds. In December 2019, the corporation authorized inducement of the financing for the redevelopment, construction, operation, and maintenance of the new Terminal 1 facility at John F. Kennedy International Airport. In June 2022, the corporation approved the operative provisions, terms, and transactions contemplated by the senior debt financing documents, and the corporation entered into bank loans in connection with the project. In December 2023, the corporation issued the first series of bonds for the project in the amount of $2 billion. The project is being developed by the lessee, JFK NTO LLC. The lessee will be the tenant under the lease agreement between the lessee and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. The lessee has requested the corporation issue the bonds to 1, finance and refinance a portion of the costs of Phase A of the project, including costs originally financed by a portion of the bank loans. 2, fund a portion of the interest on the Series 2023 and Series 2024 bonds. And 3, pay certain costs of issuance related to the bonds. Initial financing of the project commenced in June 2022 pursuant to an amended and restated credit agreement, an amended and restated common terms agreement, a building loan agreement, and a project loan agreement. The corporation is the conduit issuer under the credit agreement and passes through the borrowings to the lessee through the loan agreements. The credit agreement provided for an initial loan to fund project costs in a principal amount of $1.43 billion and additional commitments in an aggregate principal amount of $5.2 billion. The project is expected to be completed in 3 phases, first of which commenced in June 2022 and is expected to open in June 2026. The project has been and will continue to be funded with equity provided by the financial sponsors and third-party debt, which includes and is expected to continue to include bank loan facilities and bonds issued by the corporation. Under the plan of finance, it is anticipated the corporation will issue fixed-rate tax-exempt and/or taxable bonds at 2 or more times to provide proceeds sufficient to refinance and prepay all or a portion of the bank loans and/or pay project costs. The lessee has requested that the corporation designate the bonds as green bonds and has engaged Kestrel to provide an opinion regarding the designation. The bonds will be issued and secured under a master indenture of trust, binding among the corporation, the Bank of New York Mellon as trustee, and the lessee, as amended and supplemented by a second supplemental indenture of trust. The bonds will be special limited obligations of the corporation to be repaid solely from loan payments and other payments made by the lessee to the corporation pursuant to the loan agreements. Bonds, all or a portion of which may be insured, are secured ratably with other secured obligations in accordance with the common terms agreement. Bonds and related financial agreements are not an obligation of the state of New York or any political subdivision thereof, and neither the state of New York nor any political subdivision thereof shall be liable. In December 2019, the corporation consented to the appointment of Citigroup Global Markets, Inc. to be the senior managing underwriter. Since Citigroup no longer operates as an underwriter in the municipal finance market, the borrower has requested that the corporation consent to the appointment of B of A Securities, Inc. to be the senior managing underwriter, together with the right to appoint co-managers as may be appointed by the corporation in consultation with the borrower. In accordance with the resolution, you are hereby requested to 1, approve the terms and authorize the sale of the bonds on a negotiated basis. 2, approve the form and content of the official statement and various other documents in connection with the sale and delivery of the bonds. 3, authorize the selection of the senior managing underwriter, any successor, and the appointment of co-managers, if any. And 4, authorize certain officers and employees of the corporation to take all actions deemed necessary to accomplish the final sale and delivery of the bonds. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Matthew. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Are there any comments from the public with regard to this item? I will now entertain a motion for approval on these items.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
So thank you, everyone, for your participation in today's meeting. We're done.